But it's also the practice of the attributes
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
that sort of melt away some of the pain. That it's the practice of trying, right? That makes you able to come to forgiveness. Like maybe that's not what your first instinct is, but maybe when you're involved in the ritual of thinking about it, of reading about it, of talking about it, of trying to push further into it. Do you think that's what gets you to a place where you start to feel like, okay, this is the natural outgrowth?
And making it just part of your life, right? Forgiving the small things teaches us how good it feels and how successful we have been at maintaining a relationship. And so we can then deal with the bigger and bigger things and know how to respond to them in emotionally mature ways.
I wonder, though, do you think that is absolutely applicable to marriage? And I'm not asking for myself. Joe, don't listen. Don't listen. Joe, don't listen. No, but we have such a high divorce rate, right? And I think it's something like, it's a little over 50% now. And I feel like we're constantly being told why marriage isn't good, or people who are married, they should sleep in separate rooms, and you should have separate lives, and we talk very little about the practice of daily forgiving each other and having compassion for your partner.
Having grace for people in your life, regardless of who they are, and honestly, the people closest to you, it's not whether they deserve more grace, but if you're going to continue to have close relationships, you've got to be able to offer that grace to each other. You've got to be able to say, I can let this go, right? I don't want us to keep repeating this because it keeps hurting, but I do want to let this go.
Yes.
Right? And as Sue-Ann said, starting with something small, but doing it regularly and doing it intentionally, you become much better at it. And things don't accumulate, because that's usually what ends up causing the greatest harm and rift in relationships, is that things just keep growing and growing to the point where you feel like there's no way we can overcome all of this baggage, right?
Right.
Having said that, we have both seen and experienced, relationships where even, the biggest baggage has been let go and people are able to move on in love. So Sue-Ann used what I would call one of the more extreme examples, Jesus, for forgiving even those who killed him.
And betrayed him,
But he set a very high bar for us, and I'm not sure we can ever achieve the bar he established. But he's trying to let us know that if that is possible for me, those other things in your life that are much less than this should be forgivable, should be things you can move past. Yeah.
And I think also we have been taught the very opposite of what love is, and have been told that it is love.
True.
Right?
True.
Love is not just a feeling. It is not attraction. Love is a decision that you make every day, every moment of every day, to treat somebody with respect and dignity and compassion and empathy. And, we start out in a relationship with someone, and they make our palms sweat and our hearts pound. And
Yes, you did.
and we expect that's what love is, and it's always going to be like that.
Yes.
It's not always going to be like that,
Right.
because we wouldn't get anything done if it was, right?
Yes. Yeah, true.
That's why I struggle so often.
So eventually love becomes more of a friendship.
Yes.
And it's a friendship that we need to nurture and value, and not constantly be seeking that feeling again somewhere else.
Right.
And I think that's a mistake that many people make.
Yeah, they're vulnerable because they are continually maybe even picking at the things that aren't working, or the fragilities in the relationship, rather than, nurturing the things that need to be nurtured in each other. One of the things I find exciting about being married is, and I haven't been married as long as you both have. I think it's a couple decades for Joe and I think. Just kidding. No, I definitely know. It's a couple decades. And I like that you can get into a deeper space every time. There's a depth that you have after 20 plus years or more, that wasn't possible in the first 6 months, in the first year, in the first 5 years. And you thought you were in love then, but now you're in something else now. It's just really, it's really fascinating. I think it's a very interesting thing, being married. I think it's not a bad thing.
I think it's a beautiful thing.
I think deep relationship is not a bad thing ever. Having a devoted, committed partner can be so important. And when that is truly the case is when you really are having a real struggle in life.
Yeah.
Whether it's a job, or whether it's health issues, or whatever it might be, having somebody that is, Sue-Ann said, has your back, or is just walking every step with you, can mean more than anything to people. So I think, nurturing that and continuing to make sure that is something that is going to be, flourishing and living on. Doesn't mean, by the way, that you can't still have romance after, 30 years together or 40 years together. I see people, in my life who have been married for over 60 years, and they still have great, passion for one another.
Yes.
But there's also a depth of care and compassion that supersedes whether there is that deep romance, right? And it matters more to people, especially the older you get, to just know you've got somebody in your corner and somebody who is always going to be there for you. But that requires that sense of forgiveness on a regular basis, right? If you just keep holding out, or keeping score, which is another of the, the achieving awareness thing, right? Instead, you've just got to be able to let things go and be able to say, my relationship is more important than whether I win that particular argument.
So your partners in life and partners in ministry, what comes before your marriage? Does God and your relationship with this divine come before or after?
I think God is our relationship.
I'm sorry, that's the answer I'm going to give too. We can't separate those things. So it isn't about hierarchy in that case. Yeah.
Wow. I just think that's so profound. Can you say it again? Because I think that so goes against the individual pursuit, the achieving mind, the idea that there is a hierarchy. Can you express it again?
Yeah, I think God is our relationship. God is love. God is the bond that holds us and everything else together. And so it's not possible to separate the two.
Powerful.